you were to walk along the streets of Dublin's fair city, smiling at nothing in particular, or watching the big fat fish mulleting about the grimy and the slimy shallows of the River Liffey, a fish that only the Germans will eat, you know, or listening to what the preacher and the pigeons have to say to each other on Stephen's Green. You wouldn't be wasting your time, to my way of thinking. But if you began reading the destinations on the buses, you'd at last see one for Chapel Iseult, and there's a story in that. For there's not many now remember that Chapel Iseult is named after Iseult, the beautiful Iseult of the White Throat, who so long ago was the daughter King of Dublin. She was to be married to Mark Ap Mercian, the High King of Cornwall. And Arthur, the High King of all the Britons, the famous King Arthur, whom everyone has heard of to this day, and whose name is better than meat to those who will recite his praises. Arthur had sent Mark's own kinsman, Mark's own cousin, Tristan, across the sea to Ireland to fetch this lady to her wedding. Now, it was a sultry day when they pulled away from Dublin harbour, and the sea like a mill pond. The sails hung limp, and the rowers had the oars out and were pulling them, cursing the man profusely and quietly. Tristan and Iseult sat in the bow of the boat to catch any breath of air that might be drifting past. They played chess together. Or was it draughts or checkers? At all events, Iseult won every game, so Tristan played the harp for her. Till finally, at a loss for anything particular to say, they sent the servant down below for something to drink. But it was not the half bottle of Puy style California Chablis with which he returned. America and America's wines. You know, they've got a wine in America called My Wild Irish Rosé. The only nation in the world to go from barbarism to decadence with no intervening culture. Nor yet was it the bottle of Old Perth Pink, fine Australian peppermint-flavoured fighting Burgundy. But it was the flask of love potion made by Iseult's father's chief druid to be drunk between her and Mark Ap Mercian the night of their wedding. Well, Tristan and Iseult had a couple of half gills of that. When the full horror of this dawned on them, they stared at each other aghast. How could this love be in the world at all? Tristan, being a man of obsessive honour, insisted on delivering Iseult to Mark Ap Mercian's castle gates as agreed, and then he stalked off to assuage his grief in nightly deeds and daily deeds as well. While Iseult lay staring anorexically at the wall.
Till finally this life of servants' misspelled messages and midnight assignations proved unbearable in the days before the answering machine. And the lovers eloped together to Caledon Forest that cloaked old Scotland from Newcastle in the east to Galloway in the west, the wildest and deepest woods in all the lands of Arthur. Now, messengers came to Arthur from the enraged King Mark, demanding some sort of justice. And Arthur, in his beautiful fortress at Carlion and Usk, consulted with his wisest advisors. For Tristan, like many a warrior of those days, was also a harper, as we have seen. And like many a harper, he was also just a wee bit of a wizard, and he had these powers, that if he would put a wound on anyone, that person would die. But if anyone would wound him, that person would die. So naturally, he was not the kind of man who could be brought out of Caledon easily. So Arthur hit on a wonderful plan. He gathered together a specially highly trained guerrilla squad of poets and harpers. For these, Tristan would never harm, for he was hoping to have his book reviewed by one of them. And they went up to Caledon and they presented Arthur's case in a series of linked verses of the old Welsh verse form called the Englyn, in a language full with the repeated assonances and consonantal rhymes that the Welsh call Canhanydd and Cerdd Dant, and in a language so elusive, so antiquated, and so ambiguous. There wasn't a living soul could understand a syllable of it. But they convinced Tristan and they convinced Iseult, and they agreed to come out to Caledon and abide by whatever Arthur would give as his judgment. Well, Arthur gave this as his judgment: that Iseult should spend the one part of the year with one man, when the trees were in leaf, and the other part of the year with the other, when the trees were bare, and that Merchan should get the first choice as the injured party. Mark thought long and carefully about this. Finally he thought to himself, in winter the nights are longer and the days seem longer. And he said, I choose to dwell with the beautiful Iseult when the trees are bare. Then Iseult laughed and clapped her hands, and she said, blessed be the tongue that gave that judgment. Blessed be the lips that uttered it, and blessed be the pen that recorded it. 3 trees there are, loyal and true, the holly, the ivy, and the yew, that keep their leaves all year through. So Tristan was wed to Iseult, and so the real story ends, before Wagner got his hands on it. Some say that Chapel Iseult is where she was buried years later in Dublin. A little pagan site with a little early medieval site over that, and a little Victorian site on the top of that, and at all events is underneath a building site now. All that remains of Marchat Merchan's great and mighty castle are part of the walls of a farm that is standing in Cornwall to this day. But whatever may have become of Tristan's grave, or what may have become of his wonderful music,
no one knows. This is a song I wrote now, a love song for my wife Bina. Because you wear the face of all women for me, I yearn for you with the yearning of all men. Among the faceless streets of shadowed England, owning the broad daylight of my pain, owning the broad daylight of my pain. Who can deal an order on God's ardor? Who can outshuffle every shift of the cards? Among the tangled roads of nettled England, how sweetly blooms the rose among old graveyards. How sweetly blooms the rose among old graveyards. If love can clasp or fathom to some ultimate stand, neither pity nor desire can tell. Among the lonesome crowds of familiar England, knowing every kiss is a kiss of farewell, knowing every kiss is a kiss of farewell. Wood and loined I praise the evergreenness of things, the patternlessness and the perfect lack of symmetry. Among the sad, sad markets of heartless England, till my heart shall cease to seek to make bargains for me, till my heart shall cease to seek to make bargains for me. Shoes I'm wearing, they cost me 20 pence or more. And the rain comes rolling out the heels, and the rain comes rolling out the toes. Many a good mile under them is here before you I do stand. Anyone might take of me for the son of a duke or a gentleman. Oh, this old shirt I'm wearing, I got it off of an old scarecrow. Many happy nights it's seen and many happy days also. If it wasn't for the sleeves being gone, as here before you I do stand. Anyone might take of me for the son of a duke or a gentleman. Oh, I wish I'd a gallon of brandy, or sugar, maybe 20 pounds, and a great big bowl to mix it in, and a great big stick to stir it round. I'd drink a health to the company, whether near or far away. But since I have not, well, how about this then?
Town of Innerleithen, where I used to live for years and years. Years ago, there was a wonderful tailor, the greatest tailor in all the countryside. But he had a fault, and a bad fault too. He used to dress like a beggar man. One day the Lord Mayor called him in. He says, "Tailor, tailor, we'll give you a roll of the finest tweed. Only make yourself a decent suit for the love of God." The tailor said, "Right, I'll make it." He took the roll of tweed, rolled it out onto his shearing board, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it. He made himself the most beautiful suit you ever saw. When he wore that suit walking down the street, people said, "Oh, what a lovely suit." He wore it till it was in rags. He thought, "I'll make something wonderful out of it." He laid it onto the shearing board, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it. He made himself the most beautiful waistcoat that you ever saw. When he wore that waistcoat walking down the street, people said, "Oh, it's just lovely, isn't it?" He wore it till it was in rags and tatters. He thought, "I'll make something wonderful out of it." He laid it on the shearing board, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he made himself the most beautiful hat you ever saw. When he wore that walking down the road, people said, "My, my, my, that really defines the term hat for me." Well, he wore this hat till you wouldn't want to plant flowers on it. He thought, "Oh, well, I'll make something wonderful out of it." Laid it on the shearing board, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it, and he snip it. He made himself the most beautiful button that you ever saw. He tied it onto what was left of his shirt. When he wore that button, walking down the street, people said, "That button, you know, it's like, oh, it's like cosmic." He wore this button till you couldn't even see it at all. He thought, "I'll make something wonderful out of it." And out of that button, he made a story. Credit the years with a drive of nails to make bare the wounds that are not to be healed. But cherish the fable that floats us still. Melt sorrow again, melt sorrow again in the ancient sea. Your hearts make bare to the rich man's madness and the poor man's curse. Women and men are the wheels of the world. Lend blood again, lend blood again. The ancient halls. Your faces, your hammered hands down the dark of dog days. The jangle of worthless coin. Nail summer again, nail summer again to the ancient tree. My name is William Haldon, have you all to know? And from the county Waterford and Erin's pleasant shore, when I was young and in my prime and fortune on me smiled, my parents reared me tenderly, I being their only child. My father raised me to a trade in Waterford's fair town, and he bound me to a cooper whose name was William Brown. And I served my master faithfully for 18 months or more, till I signed on board the Ocean Queen belonging to Tremor. Ah, but when we reached Bermuda, I signed on with Captain Moore, the skipper of the Flying Cloud from out of Baltimore. And kindly he invited me on a slaving voyage to go to the burning shores of Africa, where the sugar bushes grow. After many long weeks of sailing, we reached that African shore. 500 of those slaves there from their native land we tore, and we herded them up like cattle, we battened them down below. Scarce 18 inches to a mile was all that they had to go. Ah, but the plague and the fever came and board, it took half of them away. And we dragged the bodies on the deck and we dumped them in the sea. Better for the rest of them to have perished there below. Beneath their planters' bully boys all along the Cuban shore. We robbed and we plundered many a ship all along the Spanish Main. We left a many a widow and orphan in sorrow to remain. Fought till William Moore was killed with 80 of his men. Then a chain shot took our mainmast down, and we had to surrender then. It was next to Newgate we were brought, all bound in the iron chain, for sinking and plundering many a ship all along the Spanish Main. The jury found me guilty, I was condemned to die. Come all young men a warning take, and lead not such a life as I. Oh, fare you well to Waterford, and the girl I do adore. No more I'll kiss her lips again and squeeze her waist once more. And whiskey and bad company has made a wretch of me. Come all young men a warning take, and shun no piracy. 3 soldiers once, coming home from a very, very important war, Well, they were told they were coming home. The news was given out for certain sure, but at the last moment there was one more very, very important battle announced, and they were expected to attend. As they'd not yet been paid for any of these battles, they had engaged. They were beginning to question in their hearts the importance of this war altogether. They at last decided on the only decent thing. They deserted. As I was a-drinking was I. A recruiting sergeant on me cast an eye. I was listed and attested before I did know, and to the King's barracks I was forced for to go. Quite soon I deserted, and I thought myself free, until my old comrades informed against me. I was quickly followed after and brought back with speed. All irons and shackles, heavy irons indeed. The day was appointed that flogged I must be, with all of my regiment ranged around about me. The colonel he called out, it was for 93, and all the King's duty lies heavy on me. But I had not proceeded but just 23 when the colonel cried, "Master, let him go free." Cut him down from the halberds and leave his wounds dry. He will be a deserter till the day that he dies. These soldiers huddled in the haystack, you know, the snow drifting down round about their ears, and they were thinking to themselves these following thoughts. It became more and more plain to them. If they didn't get out of there soon, they'd freeze and starve unless the army moved away. And if they come out and the army's still alongside, they would get for deserting. It was on the morning of the 5th day they saw the devil himself flying by on his big leathery wings. He flew round the field once. He flew round the field twice. A very small field. He made a perfect landing. And he said, "But why are you here?" And they explained they deserted from the army. He said, "But this is not even my area. This army is one of my best customers. But after all, I am the devil. I will make with you a separate contract. I will give you the flail of hell, Back in the old days, the flail was an important thing for threshing straw, you know, knocking the grain off the end of the straw. A thresher, oh, will you tell to me, how do you maintain your wife and family? Your work it is heavy and your wages are so small. How do you ever keep your family at all? Threshing with a flail, but this was no ordinary flail, as the devil was quick to point out. But this is no ordinary flail. You strike it on the ground, whap, whap. Money will come out of the earth. You will be rich beyond the dreams of avarice. After 7 years, I will ask of you 3 questions very simple. If you can answer me, parfait, vous êtes libre, and other signs of the zodiac. But if not, then you will serve me forever. Là-bas. Well, that sounded like a great deal to the soldiers. They signed on the spot. The devil xeroxed it under his big wings and faxed it back to hell. With them hanging on his long, scaly back, he soared off over the inscrutable freeway networks of the North American continent, and he put them down just outside Hamilton. And he vanished with a slight smell of boiled cabbage. The eldest soldier picked up the magic flail, the flail of hell, and he struck it on the sidewalks of Hamilton. Whap, whap. Money came out of the ground in sheets. $5 bills, $6 bills, $7 bills. They stuffed their hats, the shirts, the trousers, the pockets. They went away into Hamilton, and they got themselves a wonderful meal. Well, they were living high and wild, you know. But as the years went by, the thought of the devil's 3 questions began to weigh heavier and heavier on their mind. And even the 6 big bottles of Thunderbird they were having for their breakfast wasn't cheering them up the way it used to. One day, the eldest soldier was strolling through the verdant groves of Hamilton, where he'd seen a little house he'd never seen there before, all made out of old crates, and the roof was made out of hammered-out tins of McEwen's export. And sitting on her step there was an old woman, had a pair of teeth, made a loop in the air in front of her, round her waist twice, and in and out the buckles of her shoes. And she said,
"Morning, dear. I'm the queen of the universe. Look at my lovely house here. I've got rooms for every day of the week. I've got staircases for every hour of the day, all lined with porphyry, jacinth, chrysoprase, chalcedony, and other new age crystals. Only one thing that bothers me, dear, as I lie in my bath of ass's milk, because a bleeding draught from somewhere gets up my royal neck. It's given me a touch of majestic sciatica. I wonder if you mind seeing if any of my ruby slates may have slipped."
and he looked up at where the old red tins have nailed up on the roof there. He said, "Yes, Your Majesty, I can see some of your ruby slates have slipped." And quick as a flash, he pulled from his pocket an old flattened out tin of McEwen's. He knew it'd be useful for something one day. With a hammer he had in his sock and some tacks he's using for keeping his teeth from knocking into each other, he welded another couple of tins at it.
"Oh yes, big improvement. By the way, you look a little bit troubled. What's bothering you then?"
Moving right along. And he explained all about the devil's 3 questions. And she said,
"The devil, dear. The devil? Don't worry about him. I'm his grandmother. Besides, he always asks the same questions, and I could tell you the answers. Shall I?"
and she did. You don't like that way of ending it? No, that's a really modern way of ending it, sort of zen, you know, like the sound of one hand clapping and all that, you know? All right, well, I'll end it the Western way then. Me and my beautiful wife, Bina, were coming through this part of the US that they call the Bible Belt. And we happened to be staying in a small town called Charlottesville. There's a lot of towns called Charlotte something down there. She was a very, very popular girl, that Charlotte. She got around all over that place. And we're staying in this motel. It was one of these motels that's got like a racial slur for the sign because it's got a wee picture of a Highlander with bagpipes to show you how cheap it is. Scots are mean, mind you, but I've got this friend from Aberdeen. I went to see him the other day. He was taking all the wallpaper off his walls. I says to him, "Are you redecorating?" He says, "No, moving house." Well, anyway, we're stuck in this motel, and there's nothing to do. You're looking on the television. It was late at night, channel 28, nothing channel 29, nothing channel 30, nothing 31, nothing channel 32, nothing channel 33, nothing 34, nothing channel 35, nothing 36, nothing channel 37, nothing channel 38, nothing 39, nothing channel 40, channel 41! 24-hour red-hot gospel telethon in aid of Oliver North. Now, this hot gospeler had something to say on the subject of the devil that I'd like to share with you. Now, I'm always like the showmanship of some of these gospelers, you know, but I'm always reminded a bit of this old story this Welshman told me when I first moved to live in West Wales in the 60s, you know. He used to say that when he was a young man, he was out working on the boats, you know, going out through the North Sea, just him, 2 or 3 of the crew and the skipper on board, you know. Something went wrong with one of the engines, you know. They had to run for port across the wind, you know. So the skipper sees these big waves starting to break over the gunnels. The seas, his welly and left and right, into the water. The skipper's going, "Oh, McTavish," he says, "I do my sinking now." He says, "Do you not know any psalms?" I says, "No, Captain." He says, "Well, McTavish," he says, we're thinking for sure." He says, "Do you not know any prayers?" I says, "No, Captain." He says, "Well, do something religious." So quick as a flash, I took off my hat and picked up a collection. Now, this red-hot gospeler down there in Charlotte something or other, he had this to say on the subject of the devil. Now, he said this. "If you ain't never met the devil now, face to face. I said now, if you ain't never met the devil now, face to face. Well, if you ain't never met the devil now, and I mean face to face. It's 'cause you're going the same way." Now, you know what they say, heaven for peace, but hell for conversation. So just in case you ever need them, I am going to now relay to you the traditional answers to the devil's 3 questions, handed down in the Scots-Irish heritage and brought by me to you here tonight in Bathurst Theatre, Toronto. You lucky, 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 lucky people. The devil will say, "When you are my servants, what will be your meat? With what knife will you cut it? And from what cup will you drink your drink?" And the answers are, in the North Sea there floats a dead horse, that'll be our meat. And in the North Sea there floats a dead whale, its rib will be our knife. And in the North Sea there floats a dead cat, and its skull will be our crystal cup. Some say the devil's dead, devil's dead, devil's dead. There's some say the devil's dead and buried in Kirkcaldy. There's some say he rose again, rose again, rose again. There's some say he rose again and danced the Highland laddie. There's some say the devil's dead, and some say the devil's dead. And some say the devil's dead and buried in Killarney. There's some say he rose again, some say he rose again, rose again, rose again. and join the British Army. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll now take a sharp break. What they call a nocturnal intermission. I always say that under the theory that one day it may become funny. And also under the theory that repetition is the soul of wit, and you can say that again. Now you'll find that there's various refreshments and whatnot, and there's various records and books for sale. Due to the fact that we're going to be driving to New York City tonight after the concert, these items will only be for sale in the interval. And if you care to buy any of them, I'll be very, very happy to give the money straight to the government. And I hope to see you again in about a quarter of an hour. Thank you very much.
Woman once, you know, she had no clothes to put on her son. She was so poor. So she kept him in a pit of ashes next to the fire. That kept him warm. One night she was shuffling home, cursing her bunions, when she saw the corpse of an old goat that had been knocked down by a truck. She thought to herself, that goat skin would make great clothes for wee Jimmy. Took the old skin home, says, Jimmy, get out the ashes a minute, son, get this goat skin wrapped around you. Well, he stood up for the first time. And he was huge. 16 years, all that mineral nourishment from the ashes. The magnesium, the selenium, and the zinc. She looked up at him. Jimmy, look at the size of you. What are you doing? Sitting there day in, day out, never lifting a finger to help me. What's keeping you from going out to the woods to get sticks? So off he went to gather sticks for the fire. But he'd hardly got more than a wee pile gathered when out there come galumphing a beezer of a giant with a 15-foot shillelagh over his shoulder. And on the end of that, a big iron spike. And on the end of the iron spike, a yellow flea. That's what gave it its power. As he came forward, the giant was swinging the shillelagh around his head, roaring, fee, fi, fo, fum, and he, hoa, huggery, and other things that giants say that are not polite to repeat. The lad with the goatskin, though, he'd spent a lifetime dodging things that his mum chucked at the fire and missed. So when the giant swung at him, he ducked. The giant's shillelagh coming around, got him in the back of his own head, knocked him down, made mincemeat out of him. And the lad with the goatskin, stamping a foot on the giant's neck. What will you give me if I spare your life? And the giant said, oh, please don't kill me. And I'll give you me magical shillelagh. Oh, it's a wonderful club, this, you know. It'll make mincemeat out of whoever you thwack with it, whether you've got a clear conscience or not. So he let the giant go. Took the sticks and the shillelagh home over his shoulder. The mother was pleased to get the sticks, but the following day it was, look at you sitting there like Lord Muck, out to the woods and get some sticks. Off he had to go again. Now there came an even bigger giant. 2 heads on him. One with a leering squint, one with a squinting leer. Lad with the goatskin, up with the shillelagh. I gave him a left and a right and dropped him in his track, made mincemeat out of him. And stamping a foot on the nearest neck. What will you give me if I spared your life? And the giant said, oh, please don't kill me. Oh, please don't kill me. And I'll give you my magical fadog. Ah, fadog, fadan is the old word, the new word. What do you call it? Penny whistle, penny whistle. Ha!
doesn't cost a penny now, though. Oh, well, nothing costs what it did. That's the truth. That's the truth. But this is no ordinary penny whistle. Oh, no, it isn't so. It isn't. No, you just blow into it. Anyone can play. You'll not need Robin Williamson's penny whistle book to learn this one. Oh, no. This one plays. It's a magic whistle. It's a magic whistle. It plays jigs, reels, polkas. It plays both of them. Oh, it's a fantastic whistle. And when people hear it, that's it. That's the best bit of it all. When people hear it, they'll dance. That's right. They'll dance. They'll bop until they drop. Until you stop playing. That's the very thing. Oh, please let me go and don't spare me. Oh, spare me life and don't hurt me. Let me go now. I'll give you the whistle. So I will.
So he let the giant go and he picked up the magic whistle, the fadan, you see, and the sticks danced home with the shillelagh. Well, the mother was pleased to get the sticks, but the following day, off he had to go to the woods again, and out there come the biggest giant yet seen. 3 heads on him, all shaved on the side, and the big pink tufts of hair sticking out of him. And a torn-off T-shirt saying, Jesus shaves. And a big tattoo in the belly button saying, handmade in Dundalk. Lad with the goatskin gave him a left and a right, dropped him in his track, made mincemeat out of him, and with a victorious gesture of which he was becoming overly fond. What will you give me if I spare your life? And the giant said,
Oh, please don't kill me.
This one spoke in unison.
Please don't kill me.
You notice these giants, they've got very high voices. Did you not wonder why? It was all the steroids they were taking to give them that awesome definition and that rude fang.
Oh, please don't kill me. I'll give you my magical jar of yoch sláinte. Oh, this is a wonderful healing ointment, this now. It'll cure all wounds, mortal, immortal, civil, financial, and military.
Oh, he let the giant go. He took the magic jar of ointment. Now, that night he thought he'd take a night off, took a walk around town. The goatskin tied round his middle, the shillelagh over his shoulder, all smeared up with the ashes and the dreads, Took a stroll around the town. Any laughter he heard, he just put it down to jealousy. But there was a wee bird singing in a bush. And the song the wee bird sang was, the king would give his daughter's hand in marriage to whoever could make her laugh 3 times. Oh, I'd like the princess's hand, thought the lad with the goatskin. I wouldn't mind the rest of her as well. Oh, I wish I could marry a princess. I'd have the time of my life. I'd never work another day. I'd just live off my wife. I'd wine with her. I'd dine with her. I'd come at her every cry. I wish I could marry a princess, but they're in hell of a short supply. So he set off for the palace. When the guards saw this big lout all covered in ashes with a 15-foot shillelagh over his shoulder, at once they gave him 1.5 inches of bayonet into his leg by way of greeting. The lad with the goatskin took out the shillelagh and knocked one of the guards up into the air to the left. Ah! One of them up into the right. Ooh! And the king's only daughter, 3 floors up, parted her Laura Ashley dimity curtains. And she saw her father's guards fluttering down again like broken umbrellas. And she laughed. Unpleasant child. That's once, said the lad with the goatskin. They had to make him welcome then. They gave him food and a present of money, and with the money he got himself a lovely tartan shirt and a pair of corduroys from the Gap. Now there was another suitor in the palace at this time, somebody else after the princess's hand, and he was called the Laird of Fushybridge. And he had no reason whatever to like the lad with the goatskin. So the following day, when the king was at his breakfast, the Laird of Fushybridge came in and he said, Here, Your Majesty. You see yon lad with the goatskin and that? Why do you not send him up in the hills to get your muckle big wolf kind of went seating all your sheep and that, Your Majesty? And the king said, I awfully good idea. Glad I thought of it. Are you there? Goatskin chappy. Nip off up into the hills and bring us down that large wolf. And if you can bring down that really large wolf, the one that's eating all our sheep, why then we shall see what we shall see, what we shall see. What? Absolutely. Out in the mountains, out lollop the wolf, a yard and a half, a tongue and not wagging his tail. Lad with the goatskin pulled out the fadan. And the wolf got on his hind leg. They danced him all the way down to the town. The people heard the music. They all began to dance. And the king himself, and the lady, the king was furious. His daughter was creasing herself, polluting herself, laughing. Oh, nothing so funny as Daddy. They danced that wolf all the way down to the Keys and they put him on a ship for America, and that's why there's wolves here to this day, you know. An ecological story. Well, the king stayed up all that night burning the midnight oil, trying to come to some ultimate solution to the goatskin question. Finally, the answer come to him. Go there, goatskin chappy. I want you to go down to hell. Absolutely. Bring me back the flail of hell. Remember that, remember that? Sure to be useful for something in statecraft. If you can bring back the flail of hell, why then we shall see what we shall see, what we shall see. What? Absolutely. Well, off went the lad with the goatskin to hell, you see. Very easy to find. Just outside Pittsburgh. A big moving staircase going down and down and down and down into the very bowels of the earth. Straight ahead of him, the lad with the goatskin could see the gates of hell, 150 miles high, made of great boiling cascades of lava, molten hot, white, orange, crimson, green, purple and maroon, with wee imps jumping in and out of it, shouting things like, "One drop more won't hurt ya," and stuff like that. Lad with the goatskin rubbed his hands with the Yoch's launcher that would cure all wounds and immune from any harm. He opened the gates of hell and he strode inside. He walked into the devil's kitchen and into the devil's front room, and the devil said, "But why are you here?" What a rotten scriptwriter this devil had, you know. He explained he'd come to get the flail. The devil said, "But I do not wish to give you this magical weapon." Well, the lad with the goatskin picked up the shillelagh and began mashing the devil's Louis the Qatar's furniture. Oh, whap, whap, knocking down the pictures of the devil's favourite politicians, who shall remain nameless. You know how you can tell when a politician's lying? Their lips move. He was making a hell out of hell. So finally the devil pulled himself up to his full 5 feet in his cloven-toed protected species boots. And he said, "Texas flail, but go away and never come back here again, you animal." Back near the castle, the lad with the goatskin put the flail down for a minute to tie his shoes. And the Laird of Fushybridge came up behind him and grabbed it, to kill the lad with the goatskin, but this flail was still white hot from the fires of hell. It stuck skin to the flesh, flesh to the bone, bone to the marrow, and the wee bones were coming out the back of the leathery fishy bridge's hand like broken umbrella spikes. He's thinking to himself, ouch, that smarts. Only when he could be rubbed with the ox slauncher that would cure all wounds could he be healed of such a wound as that from the fires of hell. Well, they could see then the lad with the goatskin was set on marrying the princess. She laughed all the way to the church. They gave him a wedding in 9 days and 9 nights. I was there myself, playing the harp for them, and the presents I was given was butter on a red-hot coal and soup in a basket. But how the lad with the goatskin got on in his marriage, whew, that's another story. As I came down by Wearie Well, going there to fill my can, my fortune there I do declare, she took me by the hand. The lark gives tongue when summer comes, though time cracks every song, as if newborn or as forlorn. 'Twas me that loved her long, 'twas me that loved her long. The willow tree that Christ cleft for his flock, I saw the candles burn in the church and the door of the many locks. The ocean roared against the shore in the dark before the day, and I pulled my coat up round my throat and I turned my face away. I turned my face away. I wish that I were in her bed where I have been before, her arms entwined all round my neck, on her sweet breasts rising so. And I wish her door was bolted fast with the 2 locks and the chain, and she and I inside to lie safe from the wind and rain, safe from the wind and rain. Sun and fire and candlelight to all this world belong, but the moon pale and the midnight, let these delight the strong. where wild geese cry across the sky, or a voice is like the air, and the midnight dark is in her eyes, and the night is on her hair. The night is on her Winter is coming, how soon it draws near. Leaves of the forest all yellow and sere. Friends of my childhood, friends I once knew, like the red rose have vanished through the May morning dew. The house I was raised in, it is stone now on stone. All round the garden nettles have grown. Friends of my childhood, friends I once knew, like the red rose have vanished through the May morning dew. God bless the old ones who are now dead and gone, and likewise my own brothers young, Dennis and John. Among the green bushes, the valleys all through, the wild hare they hunted through the May morning dew. How sweet in the winter to sit by the hob and listen to the bark and the growl of a dog. Friends of my childhood, friends I once knew, like the red rose have vanished through the May morning dew. This pickpocket, he came down from the provinces, and he went up to the city of London to seek his fortune. Went all the way up and down the streets of the city, picking pockets. Doing very nice indeed he was too, until one day he felt a hand into his own back pocket, and he turned around. There's a beautiful girl standing behind him. He said, "Oh, are you a pickpocket too?" She said, "Yes." He said, "Why?" He says, "You and me should team up. What a team we'd make." And so they did. Catherine's Dock, Portobello Lane, Petticoat Lane, Camden Lock. All the places where the suckers go, they were making money, hand over fist. One day he said to her, "Darling, you and me should get married. Because if we ever had a child, he or she would be the greatest pickpocket in the world." And so they were married. In the course of time, they had a beautiful little baby, a little baby boy is the chance to be. But in the moment of his birth, they could see that his right hand, his pickpocketing hand, was all scrunched up against his chest. Nothing could shift it at all. It seemed to be in some sort of permanent spasm. He said, "Darling, look at his hand. He'll never be the greatest pickpocket in the world now." She said, "Don't worry, dear. We are very rich. We can afford the finest doctors. One of them is sure to be able to cure our baby." So they went away to Harley Street, where the most expensive physicians are to be found. And in the most expensive corner of the street, away at the far end, they found the most expensive of the bunch. A specialist in wee scrunched up hands. He was that expensive, he used to keep a big golden watch to time the visits of his patients to the last second. So when the mummy walked in and the daddy walked in, carrying the wee baby with the wee scrunched up hand, the doctor pulled out his big golden watch, clicked it open on the table, and the wee baby's eyes riveted on the watch. And his wee hand moved for the first time, reaching for it. And his wee fingers opened for the first time to take it, and out fell the midwife's gold wedding ring.
You don't want any more, surely.
I only came back to get the instruments, you know.
Oh, well, I'll do something long and depressing. All the money ever I spent it in good company. All the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done through want of wit, to memory now I shan't recall. Fill to me the parting glass, good night and joy be with you all. All the friends I've ever had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts ever I loved, they would wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls onto my lot that I must part now, and you should not, I gently rise and softly I call, good night and joy be with you all.
Bye.